Welcome to this press conference of Prime Minister Marin and Taoiseach Martin, Prime Minister of Ireland. And we start with short remarks from the Prime Ministers and then we take some questions from the media. So Prime Minister, please.
Thank you. Dear representatives of the media, it's been a great pleasure to welcome my Irish colleague, Prime Minister Micheál Martin, to Helsinki today for discussions on topical European issues. In our talks, we discussed how to best help Ukraine that is facing continued Russian military aggression. There is a strong feeling of solidarity with Ukraine and Ukrainians. Finland has delivered both humanitarian aid and military equipment, arms and material assistance to Ukraine. We strongly support increased assistance from the European Union to help Ukraine. Russia's military aggression in Ukraine has created the biggest refugee crisis in Europe since the World War II. Finland has so far received about 16,000 Ukrainians fleeing the war, and we stand ready to receive more. The government decided earlier this week to reserve 700 million euros for the cost of reception of refugees in Finland and for providing basic services to them. We also need coordination in Europe to prevent human trafficking of vulnerable persons. We are working directly with the Ukrainian authorities to transfer targeted groups of extremely vulnerable people to Finland. These could include disabled persons and children traveling alone. We are also setting up an arrangement for refugees to transit from Estonia to Finland as easily as possible. Estonia has received one of the highest numbers of refugees per capita. Specific help to vulnerable groups will be provided. EU, together with our close allies, have responded strongly to Russia's aggression. The sanctions we have adopted are effective and hit Russia hard. But we can do also more to weaken Russia's ability to finance the war. Finland is ready to consider new joint measures of the EU in order to diminish Russia's revenue from exports. We should look for all possible solutions to make us less dependent on fossil fuels that we export from Russia. Speeding up the green transition, which we need to accomplish in any case in order to fight climate change, is crucial. Finland and Ireland will continue to work together for an ambitious climate policy for the EU, and here the energy sector plays an important role. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has fundamentally changed the security landscape in Finland, in our neighborhood and in whole Europe. Therefore, we have launched in Finland a process to prepare a report assessing the changes in the foreign and security policy environment and the implications for Finland. Apart from the foreign security and defense policy implications, the report looks at the economic impacts of the changed situation, security of supply, preparedness, border security, cybersecurity, and hybrid influence activities. The report will be submitted to the Parliament next week, where it will be discussed extensively in upcoming weeks. Last but not least, I would like to express my strong support for Ireland's closer participation in the cooperation that the Nordic and Baltic states have had for quite a long time also in EU issues. Ireland has always been a strong actor in defense of our common values, and we share the aim of making the EU even stronger in international forums such as the UN. And now I would like to give the floor to you, Prime Minister Martin.
Thank you very much indeed, and I want to express my sincere appreciation to you, Sanna, and for hosting me here in Helsinki today. Let me also acknowledge the very warm welcome that I received this morning from President Niinistö, because Ireland and Finland mark 60 years of diplomatic relations this year, and I think our meeting is very much in that context. And of course we do work very closely together in the European Union, where we're very like-minded on many of the challenges that face our continent. And as we reflect on our strong relationship and look forward to deepening even further the economic and trade links between our two countries, nonetheless our exchanges today, as you have said, focused very much on the terrible impact of the war in Ukraine. We have collectively as European Union leaders condemned the war since the start as immoral and absolutely unjustifiable. And we did so again at our most recent European Council meeting, which took place in advance of the evidence emerging in recent days of large-scale horrific crimes against Ukrainian civilians. Today, the Prime Minister and I discussed the different facets of the situation, including on security and defence and our respective humanitarian responses. And we also discussed the implications for security policy of our two countries, which are, of course, in very different situations, geographically speaking. In Ireland, the invasion of Ukraine has initiated a discussion on our own approach, and this is something that we will reflect on in the time ahead. While Ireland, as I've said, is a military neutral country, we're not politically or morally neutral in the face of these war crimes. And our position, like Finland, is informed by the principles that drive our foreign policy: support for international human rights, for humanitarian law, and for a rules-based international order. We have made a long-standing and effective contribution to crisis management and peacekeeping. On energy issues, we reaffirmed the agreement reached by EU leaders at Versailles last month to phase out Europe's dependence on Russian gas, oil and coal imports as soon as possible. And we've been strongly supportive of further sanctions. We welcome the adoption of the 50 EU sanctions package. We've always believed in the strongest possible set of sanctions against Russia. We believe sanctions that bring it home to Putin and his regime, that he will not and that he cannot succeed, are necessary. We also had the opportunity to discuss a number of issues on the European Council's agenda, including economic recovery and investment. Our governments share a high level of ambition on climate action, and we expressed our support for the European Union's climate goals for 2030 and beyond. The IPCC report this week reminds us of the absolute importance and imperative of accelerating climate action and developing our energy independence. We have to reduce our overall reliance on fossil fuels faster, accelerate the development of renewables, and improve the interconnection of European electricity and gas networks. We also took the opportunity to update the Prime Minister on the ongoing situation in relation to Brexit and the backdrop there, and the work between the European Union and the United Kingdom on that particular issue, and would have updated the Prime Minister in terms of the political situation in Northern Ireland. Let me thank you again, Sanna, for your hospitality and the warmth of your welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you very much. And we start the questions with the Irish media. Quaintly introduce yourself and your media, please.
Micheál Martin, RT News. Prime Minister, for yourself, does it look increasingly likely now that Finland will join NATO? And Taoiseach, is there going to come a point where the nature of Ireland's neutrality could become an impediment in relation to what's happening in Ukraine?
Thank you for the question. Finland will have the discussions concerning also this issue within upcoming weeks. I think we will end the discussion before midsummer, so we will have this spring, the early summer, to have the discussions within our parliament. And I think we will have very careful discussions, but we are also not taking any more time that we have to in this process, because the situation is of course very severe, and we have to have this national debate and discussion how we should look at the security situation and take the following measures afterwards.
Just to say, no, Ireland's military neutrality is not an impediment to either our or the European Union's response to the Ukrainian war. We have, for example, been in a position to be fully part of and fully contributed to the EU peace facility, which deployed €1 billion to support the defence of Ukraine. And that will continue to be our approach in terms of everything that possibly can be done to help the people of Ukraine will be done. And we have a good, strong unity in our country towards the Ukrainian issue overall. I want to maintain that unity of purpose and focus, but we will have to reflect on the security implications, because Putin's war has turned upside down the entire rules-based order internationally. We saw the cyber attack that we were subject to last year in terms of our health system. There are other forms of hybrid attacks that can happen. And so we do have to reflect on all of that as a country and talk to others as well in terms of their experiences. Every country has a different context, but nonetheless, the situation has changed and is changing in terms of new types of warfare. It's no longer just about conventional warfare. And I think we as a country have to reflect on all of that.
Okay, thank you. Next question, AFP.
Thank you, Sam Kingsley from the news agency AFP. This afternoon, President Zelensky is due to address the Finnish Parliament, and he's likely to ask for more assistance. For the Taoiseach, with the apparent evidence of atrocities emerging in Ukraine, is it time to rethink Ireland's policy of not sending arms to the region? And for Prime Minister Marin, how much further is Finland prepared to go? Will you, for instance, pull the state-owned Finnish energy company Fortum out of Russia? Thank you.
Well, if I may, we are meeting today President Zelensky, and of course Finland is prepared to giving more aid to Ukraine. Military help and also humanitarian help, monetary help. We want to help any way we can. We are in this situation with Ukraine, and we all have to help Ukraine to win the war. And I think it's not the question if Ukraine will win, it's when they will win. In our hearts, Ukrainians have already won the war. And the question that you asked before, what was it?
Will you pull the Finnish state-owned energy company Fortum out of Russia?
We are preparing of getting rid of all fossil fuels coming from Russia. This is, of course, the company's issue. I'm not the minister in charge of the Finnish companies. Minister Tuppurainen, that actually was in our meeting today, can give you answer to these specific questions. But in general, we are prepared to get rid of all fossil fuels coming from Russia.
In terms of your question, as I said earlier, nothing in Ireland's position on military neutrality in any way impedes the European Union response. We're not a strong military country. By definition, our capacities are not strong. So we want to play to our strengths where we can be most effective in terms of our contribution to support and help the Ukrainians. So we were part of the European Peace Facility, which was used for the first time by Europe, which allocated over 1 billion and the vast majority being lethal weapons to EU. Ireland's contribution was for non-lethal, in line with the military neutrality position. But in essence, we're fully behind the European Union in terms of what it's doing so far. We will reflect on these issues later in terms of the security issues and so forth. For now, we want to maintain our strong unity of purpose in supporting the people of Ukraine in the way that Ireland can do best.
And then we move back to the Irish media, please.
Hi, Hugh O'Connell from the Irish Independent. Taoiseach, can I ask you to react to the expulsion of 2 Irish diplomats by Russia, and also whether the government will now consider pushing at an EU level for the expulsion of ambassadors across the bloc, Russian ambassadors across the bloc? And can I put the same question to you, Prime Minister? Would you give consideration to expelling diplomats and perhaps expelling the Russian ambassador to Finland? Thank you.
This is an issue that we will discuss this week. Yeah.
As you know, we have already, first of all, in relation to the Russian decision, completely unjustified. The 2 people concerned are diplomats engaged in nothing other than diplomatic activities. We did expel 4 senior members of the Russian team in Dublin for behaviour that was not compatible with diplomatic activities and which was contrary to international diplomatic norms. And in our view, the Russian response is unjustifiable. We will maintain, and we have worked with our colleagues within the European Union in relation to sanctions generally, including common approaches on diplomacy. So we will look at this in the round and in the fullness. I don't believe in a tit-for-tat approach or just reacting to the latest move by the Russian Federation. We'll make our own decisions in the fullness of time, taking our own considerations, security dimensions being one into account, and also the most impactful way to keep the pressure on Russia. At the moment, we believe common sanctions is the most impactful pressure we can bring to bear on the Russian Federation and on its economy in particular and its capacity to wage war.
Okay, thank you. The time is running. I think we have to finish here today. So I want to wish everyone a very good and sunny day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. As sunny as it can be in Finland.